Yo, so I wanted to talk about something uh, that's been on my mind. I'm trying to help people who need help with you know, like just regular everyday help, man. I don't want to show my face because I'm kind of subconscious about how I come on camera. It's one of the first videos I've made, What I'm gonna talk about today is self-love, man. Like, like loving yourself, like not hating yourself, as in you know, doing things because you enjoy to do it. When you look in the mirror, you feel like you're not somebody else. You feel like you're yourself. You feel like you're not forcing yourself to be somebody else. That's what I'm going to talk about. And one thing I wanted to also say was that self-love sometimes takes a long time. It took me a long time. It took me took me my whole life. It took me 28 years to figure that out, man. To figure out that, hey, man, you're gonna have to accept you. You're gonna have to, love yourself, because no one else is gonna come to your rescue and love you. One thing I did learn too is when you go in the world, sometimes it's harder for certain people because some people immediately get the love that the other people get automatically, and that can suck. If you're going through the world and you feel like some people get love and you're not getting that type of love because you think it's because of your characteristics or something that you have, I would like to mention that that's not always the case, man. You might think it is the case, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you just taking the time to back up and go, hey, man, these people might not like me, but maybe it's not me. Maybe it's, they have certain things they got to do, and I just happen to be in the way. I just happen to be the guy they have to sort of talk to, try to help them solve these issues, man. And, that's something that I think, I'm finding a problem with. But I will say, man, what makes self-love hard sometimes is when you find out that, some people really don't want you, they don't like you, they don't want you on the earth, they don't want you in the world, because just the thought or idea of you makes them irk, and not everybody, I don't want to say not everybody's ready for that. Not everyone wants that. Not everyone wants to wake up in the morning and see a certain type of person. I'm in the same boat. I don't want to see a certain type of person, but I don't want to say it's because I hate the person. It's just because maybe the values that person has and the values I have don't see eye to eye. So I'm keep looking at the time because I'm trying to get to 11 minutes. I'm trying to get to 11 minutes, and that's actually not a good idea. I when I'm talking like this, I like to just talk and let things out without having to force myself to be I gotta get to 11 minutes, I gotta get to 10 minutes, I gotta get to, because it ruins it. Your train of thought begins to go off the rails because you're timing yourself. You're analyzing every decision you make. You're looking left, right, up, down before you go take one step forward. You're not just taking a step forward and learning what comes with the step. I think that's how it should be, man. I think that's how life should be. Life, you should prepare. But I'm talking about self-love. One thing I think why a lot of people don't have self-love is because they're expecting, they're going out into the world with a plan of action. I used to do this myself. I go to a party, right, or an event, and I'll be expecting, because I know the type of people are going to be there, so I'll be expecting to be treated a certain way, and I get treated the other way. Then I have to deal with the ramifications of the mental stuff, of damn, I thought these people were going to see me this way, but turns out I'm actually seeing this other way, which I didn't expect at all. It completely blew my mind, and that's also something that you have to deal with. That's what self-love also entails sometimes. Going to a place and realizing that you don't have to play the games they play, because you know who you are, you know what you like, you know what you don't like, you know how you're gonna fit into this world. Sky looks pretty good, man. It's covered by trees though. Like, you know how you're gonna fit into this world. You know how certain people are gonna react to you. You know who's gonna like you. You know who's not gonna like you. You know who's gonna shun you. You know who's not going to shun. You know, you learn all these things, and hopefully you've learned them enough to realize that the decisions you should be making should be good ones, not just terrible ones. You know. But yeah, man, self-love really is something that it seems easy. You know, I'm not saying go look in the mirror and just say, "Oh man, I love myself." That's self-love. That's not gonna work. You're gonna have to do things too for that self-love to really cultivate and rear its head. You're gonna have to take care of yourself. You're gonna have to go after things you want, things that make you happy. You're gonna have to go after, like, if you have dreams, you have to go after those. If you have goals, you have to go after those goals. You know, it's hard work. You know, if you have like objectives, you have to go with that. If you have certain things you want to do during this time. See, self-love might seem like self-love, but self-love is like an action, bro. Having self-love is actually like an action. Like, self-love requires you to take action on taking care of you and yourself. You know? I don't know how that sounds. But self-love requires you to, like, take care of you, like, in little things, you know? Like, okay, let's say you're gonna pack lunch or something. Little things like someone might put like a note in it. You're like, damn, that's nice, man. Or you might be like, I'm gonna treat myself better. So you might, you know, maybe you go for runs, maybe you go another mile, you know, and that's boosting confidence. It's making you more confident. Like, oh man, I'm going the extra mile. You know, you're actually going the extra. That's how confidence gets built. And that's also how self-love comes out. When you're confident, you have self-love. Some people fake it. You know, they're confident and they don't love themselves, but that's very rare. Most people who are confident usually have what's called self-love, and that's the reality of the situation, man. You know, if you have confidence, you usually like yourself. That's why you're walking around the world strutting your stuff, because you've built yourself up to be able to withhold judgment, to deal with people not liking you, to really deal with, like, you know, you have self-love, you know? I mean, I want to talk about the opposite of that, which is self-hate. Self-hate and self-love go hand in hand, you know? And the scary part about that is that self-hate doesn't come because you're not doing something. Self-hate can actually come because you're doing the right things, but you go in the world, and the world tells you the opposite of whatever you think is right. Whatever's working for you, the world is like, nah. So you see people who are different than you doing the opposite, getting better results, and you start to hate yourself because you feel like, damn, things I'm doing aren't working. You know, I feel like this is helping me, but why is it? Why do I feel like what I'm doing is not helping me? I don't hate myself. You know, the one thing I will say too is that you know, I personally have been in that situation where I don't know if I have self-hate, but I have no self-love. You know, when you don't have self-love, like when you don't see yourself as like a positive thing, you could do things which will really bother you mentally. Like, it really mess with you. Like, you do things which really ruin your how you think. Like some people cut themselves, some people drink bleach, some people freaking try to commit suicide because they don't have that ability to love themselves. You know, and also sometimes, you know, people don't have self-love because their ability to be resilient in the world is so low that, you know, it gets really diminished fast. Like, they can't love themselves because they don't have the, I don't want to say the balls, but they don't have the, I don't want to say experience, but they don't have the ability to go through something and go, I still love myself. Because if you keep going through things and you keep getting pushed down, keep getting beat up, getting hit, resilience also is something that helps with that, you know, and that also kind of helps with self-love. Some people start to hate themselves because they keep taking L's all the time. They keep losing all the time, you know? And I've been in that situation, man. You start to really not like yourself because, like, damn, something must be wrong with me. Why am I doing this and things aren't working out? Why am I doing A, B, C and I'm not getting this thing coming up? Why am I doing that? And it can really fuck with you. You can really start to hate yourself. And I feel for people who have to deal with that, you know, because it's rough. It's rough. It's rough because the smallest thing can make you tip off and really commit acts you don't want to commit, you know, and that's not good. I think everybody should have self-love. You know, everyone should like love themselves. You know, that's what I think, man. And trying to help people get that. Like again, but what I did say was, if you do want that, what you need to do, take this seriously, is think about taking care of yourself first. In the beginning, you start to take care of yourself. You see self-love start to cultivate. You see things start to change. Things like brushing your teeth, you know, fucking taking care of your skin, getting a haircut, shaving your face. If you're a woman, shaving your legs, you know, all these little things really will start to build up. That's what I have to say, man. You know, self-love is an action. You have to take action on taking care of you before self-love happens. All right, that's it.